to a show.
All right, we're live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Mask Podcast. We're kind of rushing this one through because my phone's been acting up fucking funky. So, my guest this episode is returning guest Adam Russman. What's going on, Adam? How you been?
I'm doing well, man. How you been?
I'm all right. Just COVID life. Getting through that.
Yeah, yeah, man.
It's been some time, so I'm still trying to milk it. Like I walk around work, I'm like, I give the little cough. I gotta go home. And they're like, shut the fuck up, sit down. So
I'm not milking it. I'm not milking it around people, but my body is still milking it with like the things I want to do because I'm still having a difficulty just like getting into a workout without feeling like shitty. But I guess that's just getting old as well. When I saw you on the visual, I haven't seen you for a few months, and your beard's going on, and you got a little salt and pepper in there, and I'm part of the salt and pepper crew now on the sides. Something fierce. So I'm like,
hey,
man, we're getting old. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not COVID. We're just trash.
maybe like I bounced back as far as physical. I got back on the mats. I took a couple weeks off just to be certain to make sure I don't pass it.
Yeah.
And then I got back and felt pretty good. I actually just jumped right back in, went back to live sparring, felt really good. And I have the brain fog still, which is really it's still going on. It's really fucking with me because I'm terrified of losing my mind. So
yeah, it's the worst. Well, it's the worst for everybody else. You won't remember for long.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'll be that crazy old man saying fucked up things in the rural farm, and my daughter will be like, "Dad, you can't say that out loud." Like, watch me.
What do you mean you will be? That was like last week, bro.
Actually, yeah, I do say some fucked up shit to my tenants when they come into the office. Just like fuck them. So yeah, I basically just wanted to get on. We tried to do this a while back, but that's actually when COVID fucked me up. So
yeah, I think it was right after Spider-Man because the last time I was over, I think we were like a month or two away from Spider-Man. We were both geeking out a little bit about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, we got to get back. We got to talk about it when it comes out. So yeah, and then we just kept on pushing it to the right because life happens.
Yeah.
At first, I was going to make a joke about, hey man, which podcast are we on? Because you got like 3 or 4 of them now. So, yeah, but you declared it this time. So you ruined my joke.
Well, yeah, I was just going to jump right in so that way I could kind of implant it wherever I want it. It's like, man. I'm short on an episode this week for So You Like Horror. Let's go. Like, why are you talking about Spider-Man on a horror podcast? Oh, fucking, it's mine. That's why.
Well, I mean, the Green Goblin was kind of scary in a good way, right?
Goblin has always been scary to me.
Like, I think he was much more menacing in this, and where he was more hokey in the last one, or maybe it's my memory of it, playing tricks on me. But there was definitely that more psychological because you felt bad for him. You know what I mean? Like that one scene when he's in. Oh, spoiler alert! He's at feast. He's like my son. My building. My son. Nothing exists. And you're like, oh damn, man. You feel for him.
Yeah, I mean the aspect of him being direct, like a senile old man. That's that kind of brought him down and added that sympathy. But I think what also helped him to be more menacing this time around versus the original is the costume in the first Spider-Man looked fucking silly versus now what he was wearing. He just had a hoodie on and some goggles, and then he was a ticking time bomb, and that's makes that terrifying. Is you don't know when it's going to happen, and when it happened, it was the worst possible moment for that to happen when they're all enclosed. So,
well, I got to talk about this because I've all the podcasts and all the people I've heard talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. The one thing that I don't think anybody spoke about was the brilliance of the storytelling in regards to it's kind of elite. It closes the story and leaves a potential reboot for anything, right?
Hmm.
Like if they want to go forward with Tom Holland, they can. If they want to go forward with a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man 3, they can. If they want to incorporate it into the MCU right now, they can. Like it was so smart to where you kind of closed off that story. You kind of got this soft reboot inside that universe, right? To
Yeah.
go in any direction. And if we never saw Tom Holland again as a Spider-Man, not that that's going to happen, we're definitely going to see Tom Holland again as Spider-Man. But if we didn't, there's like closure. Like it was so strategically brilliant to like hit all of these elements and kind of give everybody what they wanted. And I just think that was so smart, and nobody really talked about it or gave kind of tipped their hat to Sony and Marvel for doing that. Even like the throwback to the Andrew Garfield and Tony Maguire colors in his new
Yeah.
suit. You know what I mean? Like all of those little elements. It's like a new beginning, but it is the closing of that childhood chapter. And it's funny because I've been saying forever, I don't want to see teenage Spider-Man anymore. I want to see adult Spider-Man. I want to see college and I want to see Mary Jane and him having rent trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Um,
but this was like this fulfilled all of those elements in the childhood story, and he's able to go take it anywhere else without being anchored down to what the MCU has done in the past with him, which is a brilliant thing for Sony to do. And I don't think that they're going to take it away from Marvel, but they have that option. It's just smart, you know.
yeah.
And I want to be clear. I don't want to see them move away from Marvel, but it's very smart that they had that capability with the story and make it so satisfying.
They have a lot of cards to play right now. I mean,
Oh my God.
they can go in any direction. And the thing about Sony, more so, when Marvel Studios, started off with Iron Man, Captain America, Incredible Hulk, and they started doing this built, the shared universe. Everyone knew, like, well, you can't really. Well, let me rephrase that. In the beginning, there was a lot of talk because no one really knew. So we're like, oh, Spider-Man, X-Men, all this stuff, that can be incorporated. Then when you start finding out, wait a minute, there are contracts with other studios that these characters can't be incorporated. So
Correct.
once things started to kind of break down and you saw that Sony was willing to work with Marvel and they
Yep.
got this deal done, the first question was for how long?
Yep.
Then once the contract fell apart after Far From Home and they redid it, it was like, okay, now the sky's the fucking limit. And after this movie, now Sony sees we have to, work with these motherfuckers because when we weren't working with them, you can see the decline of the
Yeah.
box office for each movie. And I mean, the highest grossing one was Spider-Man 3, believe it or not.
Yep.
As bad as that movie is, I mean, but it was the expectation, the hopes, the beliefs that this
Correct.
movie was going to be great. So we
Oh,
all
it
went to
was it
see
was
it.
Venom. It was It was like look
Yeah.
how good Sandman. We got the technology to do a good Sandman. Look how awesome we're gonna get a
Yeah.
black suit. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
So,
this now I think it's number third highest grossing of all time in the
mhm.
United States. It just beat Avatar, I believe.
Yeah,
Um,
just passed it this week.
yes. So, but it's been the highest grossing Sony movie for a minute. You know what I mean? Like I think like a week and a half it became the highest grossing Sony movie. So I mean like and I Sony's got a I'm happy that they found a way to work in to share. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's been a mutual benefit for all parties. I mean, it's been a huge benefit for Marvel because now it's their top grossing movie of all times. Well, I mean, technically, it's in the MCU. Um, but now I've already heard the rumor that Tobey Maguire is going to show up in Multiverse of Madness. We might get Andrew Garfield in the or is he in Morbius?
Yeah. They have all the options now. And not only that, you have this very ambiguous thing going on with Morbius
Yep.
because you see you hear mention of Venom, you see
Yep.
Oscorp, you
Yep.
see Spider-Man, and you see Vulture. So it's like,
Yep.
where does this movie take place? So
Correct. Correct. And
that,
I think there's a Spider-Man poster in the back, but it's Andrew. It might be Andrew Garfield or it might be Tobey Maguire. It's not Tom Holland though.
so someone
Um,
said it was Tobey Maguire, but it doesn't look like it, but it's hard to tell.
Correct.
So it's like I don't know, but they clearly made it a point to try to show you that we have Tom Holland's property in there and we have Andrew Garfield property in there. So somewhere in there, they're going to have to sneak in Tobey Maguire property in there somewhere.
Yeah, and we still don't know the ramifications of what Doctor Strange did. I mean, he might have just fucked
Yeah,
up everything. People might have not have gone home to the correct universes when they disappeared. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because he's made some timeline adjustments and stuff like that. And I saw somebody do a really good breakdown of like, kind of working backwards when all the different worlds existed. So there's probably if the same idea with the Infinity Stones being pulled out and having variant universes. There's half a dozen or a dozen now with just the Spider-Man events. But I think we're going to see what Multiverse of Madness is right around the corner. We still need to
yep,
see what happens after Loki. But man, I'm comfortable. I'm trusting the ride. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
don't have any gripes about it. I think Morbius looks good, and I can't wait to see it. I think Multiverse of Madness looks amazing. So let's make it happen. I'm ready. I mean, I
yeah,
didn't. Eternals was fine. Something different. And I'm waiting for that one to be unpacked. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
It'll pay off at some point because so far what they've done with a lot of these properties is they'll set something up and the payoff shows up much later. And I like that kind of storytelling because it's not directly in your face. And I think that's just smart, writing, smart, delivery versus just, we have a problem with people today where it's like, I want it now. Give me everything
Mm-hmm.
now. It's like whatever happened to the element of surprise and just
Yeah.
kind of slow cooking things. Now people are like, when Fox was purchased by Disney, immediately everyone's screaming, "Bring on the X-Men!" It's like, are you fucking dumb? Like, yes, we all want the X-Men, yes, but you can't just say, okay, well, fuck everything that we had in plans. Let's put the X-Men in place and then fuck it up some more.
Yeah.
So they've got a plan. Like you said, I'm here for the ride. I don't have any gripes. Hell, I'm
Mm-hmm.
so comfortable. I'm willing to take anything from almost any comic property now, including whatever the fuck DC's doing. I'm like, you
Mm-hmm.
know what? I'm in. Just give it to me.
Dude,
Like,
dude, it's funny because Peacemaker's been amazing. I'm gonna talk about Peacemaker. I just finished that yesterday. Have you watched all that?
we are about to start either tonight or tomorrow.
Oh, the whole thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fucking, it's
So,
fucking
like
great.
we've been like because doing the horror podcast, I've been doing a lot of binging on other like horror properties, just trying to I got to get that shit organized. So
Mm-hmm.
now that I've finished all the Haunting of Bly Manor and Haunting of Hill House, the next thing I'm working on is Scream and The Conjuring, and I know
Mm-hmm.
all those properties very well. So I
Did
don't
you
have.
see Midnight Mass?
Uh, so we're watching that right now.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
fun.
Sarah loves it. I'm kind of like, it's fine. Like, but I'm also only 4 episodes in. She's already
Yeah.
seen it all. Yeah.
Yeah. Peacemaker was good, but I'm with you. The other thing about Spider-Man that like just kind of got me energized was Charlie Cox was in it and everything else. So
Yeah. Forgot about
watch
that.
the Amazing Spider-Man 1 with the girls. I think we didn't watch 2 yet, but I had I've been in my feelings about some Andrew Garfield because I really liked his performance in both of those movies. Even though Spider-Man 2 was kind of trash, but there's a good movie inside of that movie.
Yeah.
And then I went back and actually watched Daredevil season 3 and Jessica Jones season 3 because Charlie Cox got me wanting to finish the Netflix stuff. I never finished Punisher season 2, and I think that's coming off of Netflix really soon. So I'll have to jump.
Yeah.
I'll have to jump on that. But after the Defenders, I just stopped watching them. I was like, I'm burnt out. But it kind of got me hungry again, and I enjoyed them. They weren't they were fine. Jessica Jones is a little hard to get through.
Yeah.
Uh, so,
I don't
but
know that I ever saw the second season of Jessica Jones.
the
Like,
second season was the one with her mom.
oh,
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
I'll
It's
be all right.
not
I
bad.
got
It's
mommy
not
issues.
bad. I feel you, bro. Yeah, then maybe it's your cup of tea. Spoiler alert, somebody shoots that bitch dead.
Oh, yeah, let me go check this shit out. Uh, uh,
um but yeah, that was good, man. And dude laughed, cried, shed a tear, had some old man feels. Fucking that movie just it I've seen it twice. I would have seen it again, but my wife's like, no, we're not gonna go see that. We'll see something else. So I'll let her have that one. She gets one.
I mean, me, I had to go to it on a Wednesday afternoon by myself because,
Yeah,
or not Wednesday, Thursday afternoon because Sarah works nights, so I didn't know with COVID restrictions, who knows what's what. I didn't know if like the Nerd Rage crew was going together or not. So I find out like, yeah, they're all going, at whatever time. I was like, well, I can't go because Sarah's got to work. So I found a
yeah.
3 o'clock showing, went in there, and I'm sitting next to this dude who, when I look at him, he looks like the typical high school jock who would have picked on me in high school for liking comic books.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, the movie comes on, everything's going fine, and uh, there are a couple emotional parts. I think I cried 3 times during the movie,
Yeah.
and in my mind, I'm sitting here next to this dude, and I was thinking, like, yo, if this big motherfucker snickers or anything because I'm getting emotional, I will whip his ass on spot. And lo and behold, I hear him sniffling. I was like, oh, Big Papa's got feelings too. All right, well, we all cry like some punks. So,
Dude,
uh,
I get in the theater, and we had this nice theater up here where like the leather seats, like the warehouse cinema.
nice.
And who sits next to me? Spider-Man himself, dude in a straight up Spider-Man costume. I shit you not. He had the fucking Tobey Maguire costume on. Somebody else had the Andrew Garfield, and somebody else was dressed up like Doctor Strange. And they all look pretty good. So I got
Good.
a selfie
Nice.
with them. It was funny. So hell yeah, man,
It's
it was great.
great where things are with all of this now because if you go back 20 years ago, 15 years ago, even, no one's showing up to a Spider-Man movie like that. I remember when we all went to see, was it, might have been Phantom Menace. There are people dressed up for that.
Hmm.
Star Wars was different. People can get away with dressing up for Star Wars.
I don't even think it was Phantom Menace. I think it might have been Return. It might have been the Clone
Uh,
War.
Attack of the Clones,
Yeah,
possibly,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Attack of the Clones.
possibly.
Shit, fuck that one up. Yeah.
Um, I know there's a couple dudes dressed up as Jedi, and I was like, wow. And I think like Brutus made a comment, or someone made a comment like, "Relax, like like the fuck are you doing?" But
Yeah.
you know, now you can go to a movie and this shit's embraced, and I love that it's. I hate it, but I love it.
Hmm.
I love it because this is shit I grew up on and just had a field day. Every time I got my allowance, I head up to Comics to Astonish, buy some books, and
Oh
then
yeah, man.
I'd go up to the news center in on Brown. If I can't get up to Comics to Astonish, every week I'm buying comic books with my allowance, and I still got a bunch of those books.
Hmm.
So nowadays, when you see just where everything is blown up to, and it's like good. I'm glad that that shit's embraced now.
Yeah.
It's you know people can go out comfortably and just be a nerd. I like that a nerd can be a nerd and not feel threatened, but I
Hmm.
do kind of feel some kind of way about certain cosplay just kind of jumping in on the bandwagon. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I was like, look, whatever, just
Dude,
embrace all of it.
I went into a high level individual's office the other day. I'm talking about like a you know colonel, in the military type of dude, and he had some Alex Ross. He had an Alex Ross Batman painting in his office. And I was like, God damn, man, nice Alex Ross Batman painting. He's like, you're the second one who knows what that is. But
See, that's
like,
next level awesomeness there.
yeah, we're taking over the world, man. Yeah, we're
Um,
taking over the world.
so
We're
like
better for it.
with Spider-Man and everything that's coming that we know of. And let's just go as far as Doctor Strange because I know there's so much more beyond. But coming up to Doctor Strange, there's
Mhm.
the after the Super Bowl trailer.
Yeah.
There's the belief, and you know, it sounds like it. Patrick Stewart
I mean, it's
being there.
definitely him. I mean, his voice. I mean, you know it's his voice. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
nobody is has any question of that. Um, I've watched some of the breakdowns of that. Like there's like somebody walking in the shadows. It looks like a Fantastic Four costume. Um, and I've heard rumors the guy that was in that Inhumans show that didn't do very
yeah,
well, who was Black Bolt, that he might be in it.
yep.
So I don't know who Namor. I mean, because Namor should be part of the Illuminati. Black Bolt, Black Panther, Professor
Um,
X, Mister Fantastic, and Doctor Strange, right?
yeah, yep. That's the
Yeah,
entire Illuminati.
yeah,
So I'm. It's like just bring it on. I want it.
yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah,
give it
yeah.
all to me. I'm not crazy about the Fox properties coming in, but you know, give me Professor X, give me Wolverine. Everyone else can,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
fuck
but
off.
like, here's the thing, man. I'm fine with them still being in some kind of like canon in some other universe, someplace. You know what I mean? Like, I
No,
don't
that's
need them.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it just how they did Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like the fact that the Tobey Maguire campy ass bullshit Spider-Man exists somehow connected to Infinity War does not bother me at all. I'm all in. Give it all
yeah.
to me. And
Well,
the only thing, and I'm gonna be a little salty about this. The only thing that pisses me off, that will piss me off, because I'm a DC guy too. I love Marvel and DC, right?
mhm, yep,
But DC did it like 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
they've already had the flashes all incorporated with one another through their WB show. I mean, you had every property from Adam West to the 90s Flash to Batman 89 to Birds of Prey to Titans. Um, the only property they didn't show off is the Christian Bale Batman,
yeah,
and now now the new Batman that's coming out now. So that
yeah.
the Christian Bale Batman was the only one that they didn't connect to. Every other live version DC. Well, let me take that back. Some of the older Supermen, I guess, didn't count, like like the black and white shit. But anything that anything modern, because technically, um, the Brandon Routh is still it is the same Superman as Christopher Reeves. You know,
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yep.
it's a soft reboot of from Superman 1 and 2. So they kind of retcon Superman 3. I don't know why they took Richard Pryor out, man. It is what it is. That was like my favorite one when I was a kid. When I was a kid, but I didn't know better. You know what I mean?
Eh,
And Superman 4. So you know, so they've done it for a while, and now when the Flash movie comes out later this year, they're gonna fucking call foul that DC's commenting off of Marvel and doing the multiverse thing. And I'm like, no, motherfuckers, you guys are ill informed. We've been doing it since the '70s. God damn it.
yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say, you know, DC. Um, and that's the thing. DC has been there first with everything,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's Marvel, does it a year, maybe 2 years later, even. Uh, and but the thing is, off of base popularity, people are gonna see now, Marvel, whether it be anything with Spider-Man. I mean, it still blows my mind that people give a fuck about Iron Man now and in Captain
yeah, dude.
America,
Yeah, for sure.
where several years back. I mean, and honestly, I only went to see Iron Man because of Robert Downey Jr. I didn't give a fuck
Yeah,
about Iron Man. I was like, man, who cares about Iron Man? Where's Robert Downey Jr.? And I'm a fan, so let's go
yeah.
see it. Loved it, and I was like, whatever they do within this pocket, I'm here. And you didn't realize there's going to be something like that until Iron Man 2
The
and the
same
end credit.
the same thing with Thor. Nobody gave a
Yeah,
fuck about Thor back in the day.
no, not all.
You know.
My friend, his middle name is Thor, and I remember when the movie came out, I was like, bitch, if you try to embrace that shit now that the movie's out, I will whip your ass. Like, because I remember he said he was embarrassed that his middle name was Thor as a kid.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
they were classmates. I was like, dude, that's so fucking cool. When we're like, in high school and middle school, I was like, dude, if I had those four letters anywhere in my name, you'd be calling me Black Thor. So, like, unfortunately, I don't have an R in my name anywhere. So,
Hey
like, all
man,
you, all,
we can just call you we can call you Black Thor right now if you want, man.
I mean, maybe. I think I might, I might run with that. We'll see. We'll see.
That'll be
Um,
that'll be your OnlyFans name.
hey, I mean, it's not out of the question, and the OnlyFans, the talk has died down, but it's still in the works. People
Hey,
think that it's
hey,
gonna happen.
hey, just remember, there's a group of people out there. No matter what you're doing, they're going to be into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Like people, look, people are into some weird shit. So if I get on there and start doing jujitsu in a thong, people will tune in. I don't know why, but they're like, "Fuck it, tune in." I'm like, "Y'all are fucking some freaks, yo." But all
You're
right,
not wrong.
like it's like run with it. Plus, I got bills, son. Like
Yeah.
trying to get a new car. Um, but yeah, basically where it all breaks down is that we got Doctor Strange. Looks like we're going to get the Illuminati.
Yep.
Heavy rumors. So what?
I mean, I think that's
Uh,
pretty much confirmed. He's walking in there in shackles.
yeah,
And Iron Man, which
Iron Man. Yeah,
if it's the Tom Cruise Iron Man, love that, love
yes,
that.
he was the original cast, or he was originally who they were trying to get for Iron
Correct.
Man.
Yeah.
So I love every bit. Honestly, one thing that I wanted to see, and it doesn't have to be a full blown thing.
Hmm.
It can be, kind of a cameo thing. Is John Krasinski was in talks to be Captain America. Give
Or Mr. Fantastic.
You can give me
You know.
both. Give me him in the suit, just kind of as a cameo,
Yeah.
but I want him as Mr. Fantastic. His wife was supposed to be Black Widow, but she went off and
Yep.
did Gulliver's Travels instead. Poor choice, but whatever. We all fuck up.
Yep.
Put her in the suit, but then bring her back as Invisible Woman. Give me Chris Evans as Human Torch just for a brief
Yep.
second.
Yep.
I want all of it. I'm greedy right now. And this is the opportunity for them to do all of that just for a
And
second.
the cool thing they could do, they could have a Chris Evans meet another Cap, right? And
Hmm.
just de-age him to be Johnny Storm. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Just to make him look ridiculously younger, and
yeah.
that'd be fine. Yeah,
I'm,
all day long.
I'm give me every bit of it because right now the possibilities are just fucking unlimited. So this is your opportunity now to like fuck around and find out. So
Yeah.
do it.
Well, bro,
And
I hope you enjoy Peacemaker, man. It's really good, and it got approved for second season. It's 8 episodes. Um,
oh, okay.
definitely not for kids, but
Eh,
it was enjoyable. It's funny. It's got like this team element. It's got heart. You end up really caring for all the characters. I mean,
okay.
like yeah, man. People get hurt and or die. Maybe
That's
theoretically,
what
it's
I
not
like.
ruining it for nobody.
I love it.
You get the feels, bro, for sure.
I haven't heard a negative thing about it. I just haven't gotten to it because with Sarah working nights, she's all Friday and Saturday. So we try to sit down on Friday night, watch a couple TV shows, and then Saturday we do a movie. But with just being on this huge horror kick, I felt bad for Christmas time with her because she was like, "Let's watch some Christmas movies." I was like, "Yeah, we do have a Christmas horror story. We have
Krampus.
Krampus," and I could see her heart just sank. I was like, "Ah, fuck. All right, let's watch Home Alone."
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
like we got others. I was like, "Yeah, I know," but
yeah.
so
In Peacemaker, John Cia, whatever his fucking name is, I'm a fan. I like him. I like him now.
yeah,
Never, I mean, not. I never had anything against him before, but he's a likable dude. You know.
yeah. I mean, it's when he was in Suicide Squad. Look, I was like, it ain't bad. As a matter of fact, I loved everything that he did with the character. He was fun. He was serious when it was time to be serious, but that element of humor always stayed there, and it just made the character much more likable. So
Yeah, yeah. It,
we'll
it
probably
they definitely kept it in that vein, but they got down to some character development for sure, for
we'll
sure.
probably check it out tonight. Also want to kind of talk to you because I know we both listen to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And I want to get
I was gonna make a joke. I was lining up a joke like, speaking of Black History Month, let's talk about Joe Rogan.
um. So with that,
I will say this. So I do love Joe Rogan. I haven't seen the clip that whoever the fuck collaged together, but I
Yeah.
have listened to many of his podcasts where the term is brought up, and he has
Yes.
said it in the context of the fact that people, like in the context of this is a word that has a lot of power,
Yes.
and he uses it
Yeah.
in that context. Not in a derogatory context. We're calling somebody that, or using it as a racial slur, but actually just, vocalizing the term.
Yep. Yep. And that was kind of my take on it too. Is like, look, I've heard the episodes. I haven't heard the collage that they put together. I don't care. I don't need to.
Yeah.
Um, but again, ultimately, this all comes down to, look, this all kind of really started back when he had Bernie Sanders on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean, I actually, man, I think that the catalyst is when he went after CNN and punked CNN out.
yeah.
It,
I mean,
you know, and I mean, like, dude, I mean, so I've been a podcast junkie. I mean, let me think. I've been listening to Rogan since when did he start? I want to say it was like
so he started in
2012 or
'09.
2012. I want to say.
Well, he started in '09.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think I think I jumped on about 2012, maybe 13
Yeah.
fully. Like I listened to a couple in 2012 for sure, but in 2013 is where I really like just didn't miss an episode basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, every once in a while I would skip the MMA ones. No offense to anybody listening to this podcast. Um,
None taken.
yeah. But but then like you catch there's some really good conversations on that one. Just because like sometimes I couldn't follow the when they get really deep down the rabbit hole. But then at a certain
Yeah.
point he changed the format. And they would just talk about anything. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I like the ones when he has some like crazy UFO. I think it was the UFO shit that got me on Rogan. Like he would talk about some Bigfoot or some UFO shit, or
Yep.
somebody would have a clip someplace. And I started listening to that when he was like Joe Rogan challenges everything or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
Questions everything. Joe Rogan
Yeah.
questions
Questions
everything.
everything.
I think that's what I got into it. So I was like, oh man, you're not talking about some spooky shit to entertain me. I don't give a fuck. And then he started having scientists on, and then like some doctors about some health stuff and medical stuff, and then I just kind of got hooked. Um, so yeah. So
Same here.
man, like it's a I have a belief, and hear me out on this. Like
Mhm.
words have power, like magic, and I mean, and I don't mean they literally have magic, but then at the same time, I mean they literally have magic, and not in a spooky way, but but they do. They like they program our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions and our behaviors. Right? You can like you can hypnotize somebody. You can hypnotize masses. Like if you're talking to somebody. And the words they choose to use or not use can tell you how honest or if they're lying or how passionate or truthful they're being about something. So you gotta respect that, man. And there's I think every culture has forbidden terms or forbidden words or things you shouldn't say or shouldn't say at certain places. Like I mean, like even like stupid superstitious stuff we kind of believe in, right?
Yeah.
And so like I think we need to take that in the context that like that term in the English language for at least the last 200-300 years has had profound power, you know, and you can't ignore that. Now, you know, whether people say should people say it or not say it, I know both white, black, Hispanic, whatever people think that like nobody should say that word. Some people say they're taking it back. I don't know the right answer, man. I like, you know, I think that a lot of people are using it in the wrong context just to attack Joe Rogan or attack other people because it's like it's a convenient tool to do that with. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. No.
You know?
Definitely.
Like if my kid came and asked me what that word meant or whatever else, and I had to explain that to them, like I think that in a vein, or somebody was talking about it in a classroom setting or an educational setting, there's a way to appropriately use that term, regardless of your race, gender, nationality, or whatever. But you got to be careful with it, man. There's a lot of prerequisites to use that term in a way that's not callous or disrespectful or whatever. And it's got magic, and it's got power, with anything, it can blow up in your face. So, and I guess the question is was Rogan right in using that or not using that, or should he have not used that? Again, I think that's all contextual. I think that's all over a timeline, you know? So
I think also with it's like when you look at everything that kind of led up to this, again, obviously people were like, look, we're upset with this dude for this reason. Oh, well, we couldn't get him with this. Let's go find something else. All right. So we get him with this. And it's like, this doesn't seem to be shaking. So it's like, well, then they released another collage of shit that he said during this comedy act. And it's like, I'm sure the Fallon Fox thing will come up sooner rather than later. And then calling him transphobic.
the transphobic one.
And
I mean,
it's like,
I don't even like the term. Oh man. See, I kind of get kind of pedantic about this, exacting on the terms, because I hate it when people just make bad arguments. It's like you guys are making nonsense terms. That shit is not the reality. Like a phobia is an irrational fear. Again, words have power. They're and if you're not using the term correctly in the correct context or whatever else, it can't just mean what you want it to mean. You know what I mean?
yes.
That's not how it works. I mean, yeah, terms evolve and change. I'll give you that, but I don't think Joe Rogan sees a trans person say, "Oh my God," and runs away. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's fucking ridiculous. It's just like, hey, this guy, this guy. Oh, see, I done fucked up now, Dante. It's over for me. All right, you publish this shit, I'm fucking canceled. I mean, this individual, regardless of how they identify, I mean, there's a difference between somebody who's fucking 240 pounds and somebody who's 90 pounds. Like bone density and strength and all that shit, muscle mass. And I mean, so we do strive for some kind of fairness. Fairness is a concept that we learned very early on. I mean, shit, we're not the only mammals who recognize fairness. You know what I mean? Have you ever seen man, there's a great experiment. I learned it in this leadership class where they have like these two, they're either, I don't know if they're apes or monkeys or whatever, but they give monkey one a cucumber, right? A cucumber slice, which is basically just water, right? And like they put a rock in this jar and you get a cucumber slice. Put a rock in the jar, you get a cucumber slice, right? And then another monkey comes next to it and they're perfectly happy with the cucumber slice. And they do the same task. They put a rock in the jar, but they get like a cookie or something or a banana, right? Yeah. And all of a sudden, the first monkey, he's not happy with that cucumber slice anymore, and he starts throwing it at the lab techs because he understands fairness. Like, whoa, hey man, why are we doing the same job and this guy's getting a banana or a cookie and I'm getting a cucumber slice? So fairness is something that mammals know at a very early age, very early development.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's. I think that anybody looking at that situation where you have somebody who was a male for all through their development and whatnot, they're huge, and you have somebody who was at the current gender that they're born to, and there's definitely a lack of fairness there. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not going to be a badass natural born female who can whip anybody's ass. I'm not saying that either. But I mean, like along the spectrum, there's gonna be very few and far between. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I got two questions for you.
Yeah.
First off, do you think that Rogan should use that word in any context?
So I don't know that the word should be used, period. And yes, I've said it and I've kind of waned off myself saying it. Should he have said it in any context? No, I think he could have avoided it. As he's done since, because there was a period where you hear him talking and he would reference just the N word. He would just say the N word,
Mhm.
not like the phrase the N word. And that's just as easy to do.
Isn't it
w-
fucked up now that we have to say the N word and the phrase the N word? It's kind of stupid, but
yeah,
continue.
I mean, and honestly, it won't be too long before you can't even say the phrase the N word. I promise you,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
coming.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's like it could have been
It's
avoided.
like in South Park.
uh, I need to get back to watching that. I've
I ha-
taken
I
too long of a
I
break.
haven't I haven't watched it since the pandemic episode. All right, all right, so he shouldn't have used it. Does it change how you feel about the dude though?
No, not at all. I mean, because I listened to the episode where he said it, and
Yeah,
it didn't
yeah.
change then. I was like, okay. Well, and when I heard him say it, it was kind of a jar to the system. I was like, oh shit,
Mhm.
but it wasn't. But I think that's just kind of the conditioning of us as people with the word. I was like, oh
Yeah,
shit. But
yeah,
then when you hear the context, it's like, okay, he's not saying it, in a way where he's demeaning anyone or trying to, hurt anyone with the word.
yeah.
I think also just trying to be clear too, you know, from my side of it, I'm not justifying and saying like, yeah, he's right. Walk around and say it all you want. No, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that again, is he? The question is he a racist? I don't believe that he is.
No,
No,
no.
not at all. Should he have apologized? I mean, if he feels, sorry for it, then yeah, he should apologize. If he doesn't, then I mean, that's the thing too with apologies. It's like, don't apologize if you don't feel like you should apologize. If you feel like you should apologize, then go ahead and apologize. And people are giving him shit about apologizing. It's like, look, if he genuinely feels like, he
Now,
was wrong.
did he really apologize, or was it like, "I'm sorry if you feel that way"?
So, in
I hit somebody with that shit all the time. Like, hey man, I'm sorry that you feel that way.
yeah,
Like, I'm
oh,
not sorry
trust me.
about what I did.
Yeah, I dropped that quite a bit on some people. It's like, almost to the point of like, I'm sorry, you're stupid. But no, it's like, when he apologized, it's like, okay, you could, sense that he genuinely felt, remorse, and it's like, okay, whatever. It's like basically he's being attacked, and people, it's like the people who are attacking is like, do you even give a fuck about the overall, nature of it? Okay, so he said it. Are you upset that he said it, or are you just using that as a weapon to try to attack him? It's just like when people try to, weaponize, making a trans comment. And it's like, okay,
Yeah,
but do you care about trans people, or are you just using this now to attack this person and try to bring them down?
yeah.
There is a difference. And I don't know who put together the compilation. I don't care who put together the compilation. The thing is, too, if somebody, whoever put the compilation together, obviously, I would say, obviously, listen to the episode and heard the context, but thought to
Yeah, I
themselves, I'm
remember.
still
I
going to do
remember
it.
one of the episodes. I forget who he was talking to, but one of the guys. He was saying that I'm just gonna call it the term.
Yeah.
It was the most important word in the English language
Yeah.
because of its historical context. And I was
Yes.
like, damn. I was like, that's and so that was one of the episodes. I know that it was it was spoken a lot. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so see,
It's
my thing is just like my thing is like anything else. You know, me personally, Adam Russman talking. I you know I don't really care like if people feel like nobody should use the word or everybody should be able to use the word or it should only be used to take back the change the power of it or whatever like hey man whatever the like you guys vote on it whatever the rules are just let me know you know what I mean just let me know how we're all dealing with this
yeah.
because I've got people who I know I got a black coworker. Him and I were partners for a few years, and we both got promoted at the same time. So and he did not think anybody should use that term at all. He was passionate about it, and so when even black dudes would say something, he would jump in their ass, like he would jump in their ass like nobody's business. Um, and he had a he had a good spin on it, man. He was like, listen, man, that term, he's like, that term has been used to less than, devalue, humiliate, um, and he had some really good term, like phrase, like emotionally, it's like emotionally slavery or something like intellectual slavery, some shit. And
Yeah.
he's like, for you to flagrantly use it, like, in whatever way you want to use it, or make it cute, or make it trendy, or make it funny, or make some excuse of why it should be used, is not it is bullshit. Like he would call, like it was like a crusade for him. But
And
I've heard
I
other
think
guys,
that's important though.
yeah, oh for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it is consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, all right, man, I'm with you. Like he don't even say it when he's listening to NWA. When he's singing along, he bleeps himself. You know what I mean? I know bullshit. I think he told me because we had this conversation. Because you know me, I'll fucking have a conversation, make other white people fucking nervous as fuck. And I was like, so hey man, what do you do when you sing when you singing or whatever? He's like, I'll be honest with you, man. I used to buy my shit at Walmart to buy the clean versions. And I was like,
Mm.
damn, bro, you are serious about this. He's like, you
Yeah.
fucking thought? I was like, yeah, I did. I was like, all right, man. I'm not mad at you for that. I don't know if that's an option anymore because he used to. I guess you can't even buy music at Walmart anymore. You know,
Yeah. I,
plus
yeah.
he's getting older now too, so he don't listen to that new shit. So
Yeah. I think the important thing there too with him is
mm-hmm.
that he he walks the walk though.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
versus saying, well, I don't think anyone should say it, and then you hear it said, and just kind of stand there and not defend it, versus, again, like you said, he'll lecture people, he'll get in their ass about it. And I think that's important, to be a man of your convictions,
Yeah.
you
Now
know,
I've had other guys I've worked with, total opposite,
yeah.
and I was the only white guy that in that group of guys, and it was every other word, and they loved
Mhm.
saying it, and they would talk shit about that guy when he wasn't around because they loved to say it.
Well, I'm
And
sure.
when Chappelle's show came out, it was even worse because
Oh
everybody was
yeah.
saying
Hmm.
it. And I don't know about you. I have this theory, and I know other people shared it. I think I kind of believe like the Chappelle show was at the height of the best race relations in my that I perceived in my adult life.
I agree.
Isn't that
Um,
crazy?
I mean, it was at a time where we live in such a silly time,
Yeah.
especially during those times. But I think with Chappelle's show, it became this thing of, you know, it's out, secret's out, you
Yeah.
know, there's racism out there. And, Chappelle's show had a way of kind of playing with it. And even Dave Chappelle in his comedy, it's like everybody gets a turn, you know,
Hmm.
he's gonna make fun of everyone. And in terms of comedy, like Patrice O'Neill, said, and, this is quoting from Joe Rogan. Uh, they always say this is like with comedy, it's all coming from the same place, and the
Hmm.
place is trying to make someone laugh. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. Um, and that was the thing with Chappelle's show. They took the racist content and racism, and ran with it, and made jokes with it, and had fun with it. And not just that though too. It's like I said, with the stand up and him coming into some heat himself with his last special, you know, in the trans community, came at him. And my whole thing too, like when they say the trans community, it's like, was it the trans community or was it just a handful of trans
No,
activists that came
it's
at him?
probably a handful of fucking Karens who are bitching about it who don't even fucking know any trans people.
Yeah,
You know what I
well,
mean?
so that goes with an argument, or not an argument, but like a point that I was making recently. It's like, if, let's say you and I walk into a room,
Hmm.
I'm black, you're white, and there is a handful of Karens in that room.
Hmm.
And I walk up to you and I say, "Oh, Adam, what's going on?" So I give you a hug, and I'm dropping the N word, and joking, like, let's say we have that childhood friendship where we make jokes at each other, and we call each other names. You say it back. I'm not bothered by it. I'm not offended by it. But I bet you, out of that room of 13 Karens, 8 of them are going to come to my defense and they're going to trounce on you.
Oh,
And it's like, wait a minute.
especially in 2022.
Yeah.
If it was 2002, that might have been a different story
Yeah.
for sure.
2002, would have just been like, kind of quiet,
Yeah,
they'll
yeah,
say something, later on, maybe, or they won't say anything at all. I mean, these days, between 2017 up to now, it's become a trendy thing to, want to put yourself out there as though you're an ally or as though you're defending someone. It's like,
yeah.
dude, and I'm not saying, don't stand up for people. No, I'm not saying that at all. But it's like, are you standing up for the person because you care about the person, or are you standing up because you want to look like you're a good person? Because there's a world of difference between the two. Because if, you know, my friend Oscar, who was, on the podcast last April, you know, he's trans. He used to be a woman. And,
Mm-hmm.
somebody has something to say about Oscar and they're attacking Oscar and saying all these hurtful things. Goddamn right, I'm going to defend Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just because it's Oscar. It's like, don't fucking do that. They have just as much right to, you know, live here as anyone else. They have just as much right to this thing or that thing. I mean, again, my only thing is when it comes to, sports. And even with that, there's kind of an angle in there too. Because it's like, again, if you've been a man all your life and you become a woman much later after you had the muscle memory, and all the training as a man, and then you go participate in let's say
Well,
track and field,
yeah, yeah.
then it's like, okay, now versus if you were 16 and you're taking the hormones and now you're 32 and you participate in the track and field event, a little different, much
Yeah.
different over the time. So, I mean, there's a lot of nuance in there that people aren't discussing. All people want to do is jump to one side of the spectrum or the other side of the spectrum. No one wants to jump in that middle part and say, well, wait a minute, maybe there's this exception and there's that exception. Maybe we need to understand this. Maybe we need to understand that. But I mean, if you're going to defend someone, defend them because you genuinely care and defend, you want to defend them versus just saying, I'm going to stand up for them. And I want people to see me, standing up for somebody because I want people to
Yeah.
pat me on the back and
Well,
say I'm a good
I
person.
mean, that's the thing, man. People, they're always virtue signaling and whatnot. And the thing about it is, there is no. People are going to piss. They're gonna be pissed. There's no binary system. It's not one or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a or dichotomy. It's a false dichotomy, right? Everything is a spectrum. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is a shade of gray. You know what I mean? And who knows how this shit is gonna flesh itself out in the future. Who testing or whatever. What if we test a group of people and put them in a range, like a capability range, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you might have somebody who's a trans woman and a natural born woman who can compete fairly. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they can test them or whatever and bone density test. I don't fucking know. And
Yeah.
see if it's a reasonable amount of if there's a reasonable competition there that they can move forward in the future. I don't know, man, but like anytime anybody makes these like absolute things, like I got this little funny joke with Joe KW because we go back and forth about different things and he's like cultures and cosplay type of. He made a statement like that
Yeah.
one time. Well, I got my 23andMe thing done, and I had it's like 0.4% Japanese or something like that, right? So I'm more Japanese than Joe, who's an Asian man. You know what I'm saying? But so I keep on fucking with yeah, man, I'm more Japanese. You need to stop fucking appropriating my culture, Joe. You're from Hong Kong. You're not from, you're Chinese. You're not fucking Japanese. It's just, and at what point does it get that ridiculous? That's a reduction to the absurd, but that's how motherfuckers are getting about the dumbest shit.
So
Um,
there was an argument I saw online very, very recently
yeah.
about Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me walk through this. So the TV
He's
show
Jewish.
Blackish.
He's Jewish. I understand. Spider-Man. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The TV show Blackish.
Yeah.
There's a young man who's on the show, and he's been wearing a Miles Morales, just gear. He's petitioning. He wants to play Miles Morales. And
Okay.
you look at the kid, he could pass as Miles Morales. It
Okay.
works. So I see
He
this
better
article.
be 38% Puerto Rican. God damn it. Oh, go ahead.
So
I'm sorry.
that was the argument.
Did I hit it on the head?
Yes. So it started off like this. You see it, the article. I don't always read comments because I don't care most of the time, but sometimes I just want to, I want to make sure, I check the heartbeat for some things. I'm like, where are people at these days? So I look at the first comment, and right out the gate, someone says, "Well, he should be Black Latino." So I was like, I mean, I guess I don't know, but let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling. So I read the next comment again, reiterated that from someone else and someone else and someone else. Then further down the line, someone put up a picture of this young man's mom and dad, who is exactly the same. The mom is Hispanic and the dad is
Yeah.
black.
In real life.
Yep, in real life.
So that is his legacy.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, then the argument got deeper because then somebody said, well, he should be Puerto Rican.
Oh Jesus.
And it was like, okay, now we're starting to get real fucking silly. And, then it started going into this ugly direction because they're like, well, when you motherfuckers say Puerto Rican and they put up pictures of Jennifer Lopez, Fat Joe's like, this is what you're probably looking for. But in
Yeah.
reality, Puerto Rican, and they put up a bunch of other pictures. I was like, this is our culture.
Yeah. I mean, I know Puerto Rican dudes who you think were black, and I know Cuban
Yeah,
dudes who you think were black.
absolutely.
You know.
And
Yeah.
I think we've gotten to such a point right now where it's like everyone wants to be in this pocket of individuality, and it's like I want to be represented, and I get that. I understand. Again, when Black Panther came out, I'm a grown man, so it wasn't a big deal to me. As a kid, saying finally I get to see a superhero that looks like me, blah 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 blah. But seeing the little kids that for Halloween that year, Black Panther, that was really fucking cool. I loved it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so I get that. But now we're getting so nuanced that it's like, well, so you mean to tell me a little black kid can't be Miles Morales for Halloween?
Hmm.
Should he not embrace that character?
Yeah.
It just it's we're eating ourselves alive, you know, and I I always try to like tiptoe around my words here because if anyone knows me, they know like I say a lot of silly shit just because I'm silly. But
I
where my
wouldn't.
heart is, that I fucking care about everyone.
It's funny, man. Like my daughters. Of course, my wife is like, she's around here. She'll slap me. She is pretty fucking white. She is waspy ass white. And there is like there is something in where I'm raising my kids now. Like I'm out in the country, like on acreage and shit. We got fucking chickens and chickens in the tractor.
This shit is
And
wild.
yeah, it is wild. Um, but it is more of a white neighborhood. Like there's I mean like and you remember where we grew up. I mean
Yeah.
it was pretty well mixed. I mean I was very
Hmm.
fortunate. I mean shit I had mixed kids, black kids, Hispanic kids, Muslim kids, Jewish kids, white kids, Asian kids. I don't what did we not have represented
Uh,
in our community? We
Nothing.
had fucking
Every
we had some Slavic kids,
Yeah.
like fucking, uh, yeah, we had pretty much everything, and like I I do feel fortunate that I grew up in that melting pot of an environment, but it does make me a little naive because I didn't have the same experience as everybody else. So I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Everything's good, like man, like my neighbor growing up, my first little next door neighbor, best friend, Natalie, I'd never forget her. Her mom was black. I mean, her dad was black and her mom was white. Didn't even perceive it until years later, when you're taught to perceive those things. Like you didn't fucking care about it. Um,
Yep.
but I do think eventually, there's more blending of cultures and whatever else, it'll get easier. But then there's something that's cool about like my neighbors in my last house were Indian, and like they had such a rich history and understanding of their culture. And I would love to talk to them. Like one of the Saurabh, who's the owner, his nephew would come over, and he would like tell me about the histories and all this other stuff, and like the wars, and who these folks are, these folks are, and that shit is fucking fascinating, man. It's so fucking interesting, and so at like the same time, let's keep some cultural richness and differences and diversities and different ideas and cultures and food and all that other shit because it's beautiful. Don't fucking you
Absolutely.
know don't fucking whitewash, no pun intended, but like just fucking sweep it all away and be scared to like have a conversation about it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Sure.
Fucking dumb.
Well, well, even with Sophie, I mean, my daughter being mixed, and so
Hmm.
like Sarah's homeschooling her. And I think Sarah's doing a great job at really, you know, especially at such an early age, at 5, just kind of, tiptoeing into things, but really explaining her culture from both sides,
Hmm.
not just like, um, mommy's white, daddy's black. It's like
Hmm.
it's not just that simple. I mean, my grandma's from the Bahamas, and we were talking about that last night.
Hmm.
Just talking about my grandmother's upbringing and background, just growing up in the Bahamas, and then coming here
Yeah.
to the U.S. So, I think there is a beauty and an importance to all of just all of this culture and making sure that
Yeah.
we keep it versus, and I mean, even when I say keep it, I mean, like, again, my wife's white, I'm black, that's not to say, okay, well, we're only going to teach our daughter one thing or the other. Like, no, we're going to embrace everything that, that makes up her being.
I asked my grandfather. So my grandfather, his dad was a indentured servant from Portugal. Came over. The same time, it's kind of hard to keep some of that like family legacy when it's not when like it gets diffused. Like my grandfather. I mean, his dad was he was a Portuguese indentured servant. You know what I mean? He came over here, paid off his fucking debt, brought his mom over and whatnot, had my grandfather, his and his sister and whatnot, but like he didn't they spoke Portuguese, but they didn't teach my dad and my aunt's Portuguese. You know what I mean? And I asked him
Mm,
about that. I'm like, hey, why didn't you do that? And he's like, oh, it just wasn't something we did back then. We like Americanized and like so he like lost that part of his culture. You know what I mean? Like it kind of evaporated. And
yeah.
and the same thing with like my grandmother, like there was parts of their culture because her this was his wife that was German. And then like on my other side, uh, my grandfather, his mom was Jewish. We don't have any connection to that part of that culture anymore. And it's just like so you blend and become something new, and it's not necessarily bad, but you do kind of lose that historical. And I don't know what my fucking grandfather grew up eating or whatnot, the foods or whatever else. And it's a disappointment, on some levels. How do you stay connected to that?
As I've gotten older, I've definitely embraced, my grandmother's side, especially with the Bahamian culture. Not as much as I can. It's like I'm a work in progress myself. Sarah's mom paid for me to have a DNA ancestry thing done,
Oh yeah.
and in what is it? It came back what, like 82% Cameroon.
Hmm.
And actually, I think it's changed now because they got some
It
kind of
it
update.
does
It's
it.
like,
I've had one for it's probably 12 years or so, right around when my first one was born, maybe 14 years, whenever the fuck it came out. But
mm,
yeah, it has evolved over the time. It's interesting, and it's actually interesting because my mom and dad are both on it, and all three of my siblings, and we all have different, like vastly different things that we inherited that we didn't get from like
yeah,
you like my one sister got this gene, and my other sister and me got this gene, and my brother got a totally different one that we don't have. It's
mm,
fucking nuts. And when you get down there, it's like super small percentages. You know what I mean? Like 0.2, 0.4, and shit like
sure.
that. You
Well,
know?
like, um, Sarah was asking, she asked me, she goes, "You think your grandma would do one of these?" My grandma probably would, but I was like, probably not. It was just
Just
like,
tell her it's a COVID test and swab in her mouth.
like, here, Grandma, spit in this container.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like, let's get weird. It's I actually do want to have my grandma on the podcast.
That'd be
I
cool, man.
actually want to have both my grandparents on the podcast.
I'll
Just
tell you,
to
man. This something you might want to do, man. Get a camera. I did this with all my grandparents, and I just said, "Hey, man, let's just talk about your life. Just tell me where you're from, your birthday, where you're from, your name, like an interview, and just wherever you want to take it." And like each one of them, I did like a little video for the funerals. But like it like being able to go back and watch her talk about things and stuff like that.
yeah,
All three of them, my grandmother, I never met my mom's dad. He died before I was born.
mm,
But it is cool, and my kids have that shit too, because they can always keep that memory fresh. That memory doesn't fade as fast. So
yeah. I mean, Sophie's
anyway,
very, very much just like she loves family. She loves, the discussion of my grandparents. She loves, when COVID hit and we didn't see our family, the Christmas and Thanksgiving before,
yeah,
so we're going into the spring, and Sophie, she's the one that actually made this happen because she was like, I want to see grandmommy. I was like, we're trying to explain to her, like, look, baby, this sickness is still going around. We just have to, kind of tiptoe and be careful about things. So I called my grandma, and we talked about it. She was like, look, let's meet at a playground. We're out in the open. We're not enclosed. So we did that. That kind of broke down the barriers. We got together for Labor Day. Then they're like, look, Thanksgiving is on. Come through. I think we're all good. Christmas. So I mean, if my daughter didn't like push us on that, we probably just like, probably wouldn't have did Thanksgiving again this year, more than likely. I don't know.
yeah.
So, we want
Dude,
to definitely try to, foster any love and need that she has to understand family and just where she's from.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome, man. I did always love learning. Like that was, I remember my grandfather telling me stories and whatnot. That shit just fucking fascinated me back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's just I think like having your grandparents around and great grandparents, like we were talking about this, Sarah and I were talking about it last night. Because what was it, 94? I went down to
Hmm.
Florida, that's where my grandma grew up, and my great great grandma was still alive.
Yeah.
And so it was like, holy shit, you got to see your great great grandma. I was like, yeah. I mean, it was a couple years after that she passed away. My great grandma passed away, I want to say like 2001, maybe 2000.
Hmm.
So just having those figures around in your life, it's like having access to a time machine or a library of like history.
Yeah.
You can just always get these cool stories. And I think that's what I really want to do is like have my grandparents on and talk with them. Like my grandmother, raising kids during, the civil rights era up in Detroit, Michigan,
Hmm.
so she had a child that was unfortunately struck by a car,
Oh,
um,
really?
and died. And one of the things and I found this out later in life, and I kind of took her patience, I guess, in that situation and understand that situation, and kind of and embrace it as my own because
Mhm.
her daughter was hit by a drunk driver, and it was broad daylight, and he was white, and you know, the, the neighborhood, guys came around, was like, Mrs. Dante, do you want us, to go get this guy?
Hmm.
And my grandma was like, no, absolutely not. That's not going to bring my daughter back. Only thing that's going to do is you're going to have two families hurt now. If you guys go hurt him, his family will be without a father, and we're without a daughter. Yeah, like hearing that as a 6-year-old kid, it sunk in and it made sense. I was like, she's absolutely right. Um,
Yeah. It's pretty powerful, man.
so like hearing that and just that story alone was just fascinating to hear. But then also just the shit that she's seen, and then my grandfather, who my grandmother remarried. My grandfather's white, and
Hmm.
the joke that I always say with my grandfather is like, dude, nobody loves black people more than my grandfather. Like this dude, not only like he adopted an entire black family.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
like when he married my grandma, is like all the kids came with it, grandkids too. Like I still call my grandfather dude. I've never called him granddad or anything. Like everybody else calls him granddad, I call him dude. Um, and it's funny now because Sophie says that to me now. It's like, dude, like we're talking about something. She goes, "Hey, dude," and I just let it ride. I was like, she still calls me dad, but it's like when we're really into playing video games or we're listening to music. She's like, "Dude, did you hear that?" So, but like with my grandfather, I want to, hear his story. He's told me, when he was younger, he's terrified of heights, but he worked on the Hoover Dam. You
That's
know,
crazy.
it's like, what the fuck? I don't give a fuck what the paycheck is. I'm not doing that. That's part of the problem with people today. It's like, man, heights, fuck that. Let me go find a job where I don't have to climb up a fucking big ass ladder to the top of a fucking dam to make some money. Where he was like, look, I gotta earn. I gotta
Where
pay
was he
these
from?
bills.
Where was he from originally?
Texas. I
Okay,
believe Fort Worth.
okay, that's a nice area.
Um, yeah, like I think his sister is still down there. I believe
Yeah.
she's still alive. But
Well, at least,
he.
and let me qualify that. I've been to Fort Worth a couple times, and I've always enjoyed myself. I don't know how nice of an area it is or
Mm,
isn't. I'll
it's got
leave
to
it at
count
that.
for something.
Somebody's listening right now. Fucking Fort Worth is a dump. I'm like, I don't know that either. I'm just
There's some guy down there is like, man, this fucking guy doesn't know what the fuck he's. So I don't think I have any Texas listeners. Now that I really think about it, I think like over the course of this year and a half that the podcast has been up and running, I think I had like 30 listens from Texas. So
Yeah. No,
um,
there's like a 2 or 3 year span. I was at Texas like a dozen times, and I always had a good time there, man. So
um, yeah, it's like
I
I
moved there
want
with Joe Rogan, bro. Back to Joe Rogan. Full circle.
to. It comes full circle. Um, but yeah, I want to have them on and like talk to them and really get their story and just really just kind of talk because I've never really sat and talked with my grandparents,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
So
I got to do that a lot actually. Because like I lived with my grandparents on and off until I was like 9, and
hmm,
then even after I moved out on my own, I actually lived with my grandparents again. They actually sold their house and moved into the condo that I was living in, and like they had, and I gave them the big. It was a nice condo. It was a pretty nice condo, and
nice.
so I lived with them again for a good amount of time, and then my mom's mom lived with her for probably like 12 years. So we had a lot of time with my. I mean, shit, my fucking. I didn't lose all my grandparents. So I was like late in my 30s, um,
Nice, nice.
and I still remember my great grandmother as well. She died when I was 9. But yeah, man, I talk trash to my parents like you guys are some garbage ass grandparents. You fucking never come over. My grandmother used to pick us up every fucking Friday, take her to her house. We were over there every goddamn weekend, and if we weren't living in the same house with her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but my parents were like stupid young when they had me. So, what are you gonna do?
I always think about that with my Sophie asks about my mom every so often,
Yeah,
and I try not to. Well, actually, I don't say anything bad about my mom to my daughter. I feel like I'll be carrying on a horrible legacy if I did that. It's like, yeah, my
yeah.
mom's trash, and then suddenly, as she's always like, my dad's kind of trash for saying that his mom's trash. Which she says that shit now too. She says trash. If we're playing fucking Mario Party and we lose, she goes, yo, that's trash. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
fuck. Like I need to I need to figure this out because I didn't think that this little human was gonna copy everything I'd say. Well, she doesn't cuss. She doesn't say cunt like I thought she would. So
Yeah,
that's good. But I
yeah.
think she doesn't know the context yet.
Oh, dude,
Once
watch out. The C word is the new N word. Be careful
yeah,
with that,
well,
bro. You don't fuck up.
yeah, true. But I love it so much.
I do too, man. That's like one of my favorite words.
but
There you
but
go.
yeah, it's like everything with the kid. It's just um there's this embracing of just watching her grow and
Hmm.
watching her develop into this little human. she's into anime, which, it's like, okay, it's not my cup of tea, but I try to like get into it a little bit with her so that way I can understand. She likes zombies, which is really fucking wild. Um, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying
my
this
my
ride as
youngest
a parent.
my youngest and I we're in the anime, and I got to give her props, man. She had me watch some series with her, the Forgotten Neverland, or the Promised Neverland,
Okay.
and I was like, is it about Peter Pan? And she's like, nope. I was like, I'm not interested. I mean, give me. If it was Peter Pan anime, I'd do it all day long.
Fucking right.
But anyway, it was actually really good, and I had to give her some props for it. Like, all right, good. And like, there's a couple that Joe KW pointed me to, and I've watched those with her as well. Dude, anime's come such a fucking long way, bro. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why some people have a challenge with it, but I mean, it's some good stuff.
I think there's a challenge. I can speak for myself as far as like why it was a challenge for me. It's because it's like it's not what I grew up with.
Yeah,
Because when I grew up with
right.
anime, it was fucking garbage. I wouldn't say it was garbage, but it was like it's not holding my attention. Now there's shit on that I don't even realize that it's anime because I'm just
Yeah,
wrapped in the story. It's like, dude, this is really fucking good. Like the
yeah.
animation looks good. It's like, holy shit. So yeah, definitely get it. Uh, but look, we've been going longer than I thought we were gonna go. Actually, well, that's the thing though. With us, we can talk for fucking hours. Now,
I know, right?
mind you, I'm at fucking work right now recording this podcast.
Dude, that's like getting double paid.
It's fucking right. Well, dude, I edit most of my podcasts at work, so it's like I'll bring in my laptop, set it down, and just start playing it back. Some are easier to edit than others, but most podcasts, like we're doing it remotely. The only thing I'm trying to like listen back to is make sure there's no distortions
Yeah.
and like try
So
to catch anything fucked up that I
for the
might have said.
listeners, quick question for you, because when you drop this podcast, it'll be 3 days before the Batman gets released. What are your
Ooh,
predictions?
whew, okay. I'm I'm open minded about it. Um, I think Robert Pattinson. I think I'm not crazy about the look, but I think he's going to pull it off. I think he'll be. I think like this Batman with this Riddler looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to give us a good mystery
Yeah.
to play with, and I'm excited about that. That's the big thing I'm going into this for is like I want to see him be a detective. I
Yeah.
want to see that, and having a Riddler be the villain is kind of the perfect matchup for that. So I'm excited for that. As far as other characters, we got the Penguin in there. I don't think he's going to be as much of a like Penguin is the Penguin. Everybody knows him, but I don't think it's going to be he's not going to be as upfront. Like he's not going to be like a main guy. Like we got
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
focus on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Penguin. He's going to be there, but it's going to be a lot of background work done for him. I think they're doing the HBO Max series for the Penguin, so
Okay.
I
Oh,
think
really?
some of that might be getting set up here. And
Okay.
then I wouldn't be shocked if they do something, some kind of setup for Catwoman with Zoe Kravitz because she's a budding star. I mean, I think she is a
Yeah.
star, not just a
Oh
budding
man,
sin.
she's gorgeous too.
Yeah, I mean, like fuck her. I mean, her mom is Lisa
Yes, please.
Bonet and and Lenny Kravitz, and those are two of the
Yeah,
most
man.
beautiful people on the planet. I was like,
I
what?
Shit, I'd have sex with both of them too.
Yeah, like that wouldn't even be a question. But like even Lenny Kravitz, especially Lenny Kravitz, like why wouldn't I? And you know what? We play his greatest hits in the background, just to bring it all home.
I
Like
wanna get away.
like hey, look, if he puts on American Woman, I will put on the wig. I don't give a fuck. Like those are beautiful, beautiful humans. Um, but yeah, I think
Oh
I
my god.
I'm excited about it. I think what's going to really come from this is we're about to get another trilogy. I think it's going to do well enough that they're going to say we got to order more of this,
Yeah,
and we're probably
see,
going to get some
I thought there
spinoffs.
was too much beef with the director in Patterson. You know, like we heard a lot about that during the production,
Yes.
and like it got pushed back because of COVID and everything. So here's my perspective on it, man. I bought my tickets.
Mhm.
I'm going Thursday morning, or the earliest show I can get. I can get all the kids and the wife too. Yada yada yada. And I'm looking forward to it. Uh, at the same time, I really don't give a fuck about it. I know it sounds weird. Like I'm still in Justice League mode. I still want to dance more in that world.
Yes.
Um, like there's some elements to it. I don't know how they're gonna play off. Like just like Batman walking around during like like while everybody's investigating it, it just doesn't feel right to me. Like I'm like that's weird. Like he's walking around with his boots and his cape doesn't drag on the floor. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was like, hey Batman, come over here, pal. And like that, like it doesn't match the tone. It'd be one thing if like he's standing in the shadow, nobody perceives him, and then like all of a sudden he pops up and like scares somebody, starts talking, and like he disappears again. Like I'm down with that Batman. Like that's how but like him just like, hey Jim, can you give me a lift to the fucking jail with you? Blah blah blah. You
Can I bum a
know,
ride?
yeah. I'm not saying that just I don't know how it fits in that world. You know what I mean? Like he's in the lockup or whatever with a
Mm,
bunch of dudes with a bunch of cops, and like you see Gordon pushing him away, and he looks very young. He looks he just kind of he doesn't look scrawny. You know what I'm saying? But he doesn't look like a brute of a man. I
correct.
need a
Yeah.
I need a big fucking linebacker, some bitch. Like
Yeah.
Ben Affleck is a big dude, so to speak. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's like 6'4", big dude.
Like Ben Affleck is what Bruce Wayne and Batman should have been.
Correct, correct.
Like,
Um,
um, when people got upset about that, it's like like, I hate people anyway. Like, as
yeah,
soon as something, I was like, oh, he's not like he's Batman. Gross. It's like, well, who would you have as Batman? I mean, and there were some compelling, arguments for like, was it John Hamm, I think,
yeah.
from Mad
John
Men.
Hamm's a big dude. He could do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Fifteen
Like
pounds,
it.
15 pounds
That's
of muscle goes a long way.
yeah. I mean that. Here we go back to that argument. Um, like
uh,
and that's the thing. It's like when you take you know these characters and you put them on live, like the big screen on live action. There has to be something that translates from the comic. I mean, you look at Ben Affleck, that dude looks like Bruce Wayne. You put him in a
yeah.
suit, he's Batman.
And you can even
Christian Bale
tell.
bulked
You
up.
can even tell. You can even tell. Like when Ben Affleck was next to uh, um, Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill's a bulky dude, but
Hmm.
like he's not like 6'4" big. He's like 6'1",
Yeah.
And those 3 extra inches go a long way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so I think it's going to be terribly good. It's going to be terribly
Yes.
good, right? Um, I feel like it's very artsy, and it's going to be it's going to be like it was a really good movie. you know it kind of crosses the genre, kind of pulls away from the comic book kind of feel, which might be good. It's not going to be super fantastic, I would imagine. So there's a very limit in that world that you can have, and I'm down with it. But I still feel like, is this doing anything more than the Dark Knight did for me? Like, did the Dark Knight scratch that itch for that ultra gritty, realistic Batman? So
Hmm.
what are you offering? What are you offering me? You know?
So when you put it in that context, I mean, and granted, we haven't seen it yet,
Yeah,
but you've got to do a lot to top Dark Knight.
I concur. And dude, there's some fucking amazing actors that are going to be in it.
Mhm.
But and it's going to be 3 hours long. You know,
Yeah.
so I think it's going to be amazing. But and then again, if they said, you know what, we're going to do some more reshoots and it's not going to come out till 2023, I think, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like give me the best that you can give me.
Yeah,
When they push Morbius back, I was disappointed, but I was like, you know what? That's fine. If it's gonna take you another 2 months to give me the best fucking movie you can give me, then take
Yeah.
those fucking 2 months. Give me,
Dude, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I think Morbius is gonna be a sleeper. I think Morbius is gonna be the shit.
I
I mean,
agree,
I don't think it's gonna be a
10,000%.
blockbuster. I don't think it's gonna be a blockbuster, but it's gonna be a fucking dope ass movie because they're gonna cross that horror genre and do
Mm-hmm.
some shit you've never seen before. And I do think Jared Leto is a good actor, and I like him regardless what Joe KW says.
I think when they announced him as Morbius, I was excited because it was like he was made for this role, but I was
Yeah,
also skeptical because I was like, there's no way they're gonna get this movie done. Like, why are they gonna
yeah,
do
yeah,
this
yeah,
movie?
yeah,
How are they
yeah.
gonna do this movie? And seeing everything, it's like, dude, I so I don't do the theater a lot. I went for Spider-Man. I went to see Scream 5, but that's because for the podcast I had to have that ready because we're gonna record that next.
How was that, by
Um,
the way?
I loved it actually.
Okay,
Um, because it so I hated Scream 4.
okay,
I I love Scream 1, the original. I
all right,
enjoyed Scream 2. Scream 3, it was getting to a point where it's like, okay, you've jumped the shark. You're going a
yeah,
little too far. So when they
yeah,
came back with Scream 4, and my reasons for not liking Scream 4, I think initially I was like, maybe I'm just old now. And there's a lot of young actors I don't recognize, I don't get it, I don't care. I think what it is with Scream 4 is it was ahead of its time because the whole ideal is the killers
it's
were
the
doing it for
stab movie, right?
so so Scream
Or
Scream
that's three.
5. So yes, Scream 3 is the stab movie where they're on set.
Yeah,
Scream 4 is Sydney's cousin, Nev Campbell's character. They're back home and you know it all starts back up again. So it turns out the killers, they're doing it for social media clout. And the problem with that narrative at that time is it was a little too early. Like if they did that, because I think it came out 2011. Had that movie come
mm-hmm.
out 2015, 2016, and
Mm-hmm.
they were doing it for social media clout, that shit would have hit on the nose perfect because that's when that shit really kicked off.
Well, you know what I always
Um,
want to see in Scream 4 is that Nev Campbell's character became the killer. Like
that
like it was she had split personality,
mhm.
disassociated personality, or whatever, and she created an alter ego that became the killer. And at the end, you find out it's her. And I think
so,
that would have gone full circle. That all the trauma had turned her into a killer itself.
so they are a sixth one has been approved.
Hmm.
Everyone's coming back. Um, everyone that survived at least. Everyone's coming back for number 6.
Hmm.
And Wes Craven, before he passed away, the whole plan was to do a second trilogy.
Oh, really?
And it's going to start filming this summer. And the thing is, at some point, I feel like someone from the original, from the original survivors that's still there, has to become the killer.
Hmm.
Just to kind of take it full circle. Now, maybe not. I don't know. That's just my feelings. Like, and in my mind, I'm like, that is silly, but it would just make sense because of the
Yeah.
silliness. But the fifth one, I felt like was so good because it paid a lot of tribute to the original movie, shot for shot for a lot of things, even. It played tribute to the characters and it also updated to a point where it's like you realize this is 25 years later.
Mm.
So you have to think like these motherfuckers got kids now, you
Mm.
know. So you get into that, and it's like without spoiling anything, I walked out of there thinking to myself, I want to go back and watch it again.
Mm.
Um, I just like the problem is the seats at this theater nearby, they're fucking terrible. Everyone else loves them. They're good for them. They're terrible for my back.
Yeah,
But
bro, I'm gonna tell you, man. Take the trip up to Frederick to go to the fucking warehouse cinema because you have those leather couches
warehouse,
that, yeah, you have those leather couches that lean all the way back and the feet come up,
nice.
bro. And you have beer and fucking food in there. It's great.
You had me at beer.
All right.
Um, and actually, so even though this episode comes out on the 28th, since we're talking in those terms, tonight I am recording the Scream episode for my horror movie podcast.
All right,
So,
sweet.
and then also in speaking in those terms of it being the 28th when this comes out, tomorrow I'm actually going to go see the Batman. I got early,
Oh,
early access.
You got March 1st tickets?
Uh, so I don't, but a friend does. So
Nice.
that will be a birthday gift. And I was like, dude, absolutely, I'm gonna go. I'm excited because we had this discussion. I was like, well, I'll see Batman when I see it. I'm not rushing to the theater, but I do want to see it. I probably won't see it opening weekend. And they're like, well, how about if I said, hey, we can go on the first? I was like, early access. This will be a belated birthday gift. I was like, all right, let me check with Sarah. Check with Sarah. I was like, what's your schedule? She was like, technically, I'm not working. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to see Batman. So, but basically, I don't do the theater a lot. And what I was getting at is like, Morbius was going to be, believe it or not, along those list of movies I was going to see in the theater. I think I have for this year 5 movies I plan on seeing in the theater. Scream was one of them. Now Batman, Doctor Strange, Morbius, and Halloween. And
no Black Adam or
Flashpoint.
Yeah, Flashpoint.
So Flashpoint, yes, Flashpoint will be theater. And now I feel dirty saying it, but I want to see Jurassic World Dominion in theater. I feel like I have to.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the last one, man. I just don't care anymore.
I don't. Yeah, I saw the last one. I own it, but I don't know that I watched it more than once.
Dude, it's funny, man. Bobby and I did some college project a long time ago with a Jurassic Park. It was a spoof funny thing, like Jurassic Park 4. And like more dinosaurs, more mayhem, and we just made like a trailer. But like basically in the like thing, there's like some kind of smart dinosaur hybrid shit, like dinosaur hybrid man or whatever. And this is like, I mean, God, this is like early 2000s, like it might have been like 2001. You know what I mean? But that shit is going that like that dumb way of like genetically modified like super dinosaurs. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking funny, bro.
Looking at the trailers, like it looks silly, but there's something. I think just seeing the original characters is like, you know what, I'm gonna see it, but it's one of those things where it's like reluctantly I'm gonna see it.
Yeah,
and I'm going in with zero expectation for sure. So
I'll catch it on Netflix.
Let's officially wrap it up this time. So Adam, always great to have you on. Thank you for doing this.
Hell yeah, man, anytime.
I'm glad like COVID's kind of passing the way through and you're back up and moving. So again, great news to hear that. Any mention shout out that you want to throw out there?
I mean, just check out we didn't talk any nerd stuff here much. I still got my Instagram on the Beer and Bolters 40K or the Warriors Lodge stuff if you're into the gaming scene. And Dante, we'll have to get you and Sarah up here for outdoor cookout, whatever else here, fire pit. We're actually doing something tomorrow night. It's kind of like a last minute thing because of the Memorial Day. The wife and I were like, well, let's have something Sunday since we're off Monday. But then every time we do that, we fucking feel like trash for our day off. So like, let's do it a Saturday so we feel like trash Sunday and be fun Monday. So you guys are always welcome. Come on up, let me know. I don't know what we're gonna do. Just invite a bunch of fucking random folks up here, cook some food, and have a couple drinks. So that's how it is.
Well,
it's never too cold for a cookout.
I agree. Even snow on the ground. I've been on the grill in the snow. We'll definitely want to try to get together with you all. I've mentioned it to Sarah in the past. When you put a picture of the new house up, I was like, yeah, like actually no, she showed me. She was like, you see Adam's new place? I was like, yeah. That's and then after our last recording, so I was like, yeah, we gotta get together with them all. Just period. Like, just I miss seeing people. So yeah, we definitely got to get together.
I'm gonna plan some like kind of big event where like people can fucking bring, because I got power hookups in the back. Motherfuckers can bring campers if they want to. So on the back 40 acres, it's not that big.
Sounds like a flex.
Anyway, yeah, man.
But yeah,
I'll make a weekend out of it. Like start Friday, wake up like early Monday, and realize you're late for work. That's what I'm talking about.
Like they'll know what time it is. It's like Dante's not here. Oh, he's lost somewhere. Like, yep, that's what I do. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put Beer and Bolters and everything in the show notes. And link you to everything. So for everybody else, thank you as always for listening to the podcast. Thank you for the constant support. Do greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions, concerns, criticisms, even feel free to reach out to me. Off the Mats Podcast on Instagram or bjj.wiki on Instagram as well. You can email me. I think it's offthemats2020@gmail.com. Nobody emails me except for TikTok, but whatever. But also make sure to check out my good friends Eric and Ali over at Armbar Attic. They got some new merchandise, some new rash guards, t-shirts, and everything. So go give them a check out on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook as well. And also check the website, armbaraddict.com. Make sure to check out Columbia Social Club. That's my other podcast that we review beers on. I think we just talk shit, really, but we do it while drinking beer, and then we pretend that we're reviewing beers. Really, we're just talking shit and getting drunk. So if you like that kind of shit, go check it out. It's my friend Steve and I, and we just have a good time. So don't take anything serious there, for sure. Also, last but not least, check out my other podcast, So You Like Horror. It's a horror movie podcast, and this Friday we will be releasing our episode on Scream, the entire franchise, up to even number 5. Just having a good talk about it. So check it out. Be kind. Download it. Otherwise, thank you, everybody, for listening. You guys keep listening to the podcast, keep downloading it, and I'm going to keep making them. Thank you all. Bye.
Later.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.